very generous introduction, and I was absolutely delighted to be able to read here tonight. I have been living in Bali for the last 2 years, so not as many poetry readings as I maybe would like to go to, so great to be here. I'm going to start with a poem that Fathom kindly published. It's called Echo Visits Malaga, and it's a series of poems that are set in the south of Spain. Echo visits Malaga. She puts it in her mouth. It is wet, white bread. Her body is a pool of eyes. Imagine perfect figure of curve. They didn't give her more than that. Picasso's house is empty of him, thick with color seekers. To build life on an echo is glass stilts in the wind. She lies on rooftops studded by shale and asphalt. Her finger bones are feathers, her throat strings botanical cuttings, the lobes of her ears as long and peaked as the eucalypts. She wets her lips at channels cut deep into the rock. Up here, the air thin and cool on her inner arms. Her lust for the clean, red sea. She carves his bull face into gates, into the stone of the house. All trees sit close to the ground. A fire burning smoke like a lover, walking the almond groves, the steep slopes. The next set of poems started out as a bit of an exploration of the myth of Eve in the Garden of Eden. I'm not a particularly religious person, so this really was an exploration under the proviso that Eve already received the gift of knowledge. She didn't find it in the garden, it was already in her. So it's a bit of an exploration of that and of sexuality. The first poem, which I'm going to read now, is called Finger on the Trigger God, and it starts with a fragment of some handwritten notes that Charles Darwin wrote in the edge of a book. So the quote that he wrote, or what he wrote was, "When opposed desires are absolutely equal, which is possibility, may free will then decide." She reads, Eve, Adam's wife. Birth, place, Garden of Eden. Children, Abel, Cain, etc. Not disambiguation, not mitochondrial, and Eden, a matter of terminology, declarative. Under light, first features picked out, resembling monsoonal showers. I want, to want, lick your top lip, lower lip, that blue, there, beneath the chin, quaver of vein, dip saintly, oh God, hip bones, inner thigh, the color of mushroom cups, the side of the torso, and slide lower. In the garden, night, hot, thick, with sighs, unpeel the insides of my wrists, put your teeth to the tendons, taste, mangroves, oil fields, deltas, endings, war zones, fault lines, border checks, lower, tie paths, quarries, blood loss, comprehend, intimacy, flowerings, swarm paths, mountains of water, your eyes, lower, your gaze, lower, lover, lower. And this poem is called In the Backyard, Poolside. Eve, in her summer skin, completely nude, bikini leaf tan lines, white breasts, white pelvis, black flag of hair. Her nipples are two damp eyes. One journal recommends alpha-beta testing to enhance sexual conversation. I do not like this. I do like that. I like this more than that, and, oh yes, more than that. Eve says, I do wonder what it would be like to be alone. Adam says, hand, chisel, hand, hammer, hand, scythe. Fix me, he says, make me whole. I think I can just remember what it was like, but I do not quite. Fix me, he cries in her lap. Eve, make me whole again. And this poem, when I was living in Bali last year, the volcano on the island started to erupt. It's still erupting. And that was quite a shocking experience to be so up close to such a massive geological event. So that volcano started to find its way into a number of my poems, so I wanted to share one of those with you. Again, it's still also interested in the idea of the garden. So it's called Desire is a Tiered Garden, and it starts with a quote which says, "If the garden's walls are pulled down, then there would be no difference between it and the wilderness." At dinner last night, under the strip lighting of a small East Side pizza shop, a man accusing himself of a crime, wearing a badge that says, "Impeach the motherfucker already," which he unpins and gives to me, recounting entering a woman with unclear consent, remembering stub-nailed hand on her milky thigh. I made that quote up. The growth of palm trees in Bali, that which grows in humid weather like a maniac sprouting great new dreams, there are traditional tall palms and hybrid. Desire is a tiered garden, understanding thirst, the honey-eater tongue, understanding hydraulics, engineering, bring growth, the water mountains of the Balinese, the Mayan. Wanting, having, clear-eyed, flowing, side-eyed, seductive silence, stopped up. We walk the long colonnade soaked in cypress shadows, gulp a fresh gladness, the Syrian queen in her flesh demanding a garden. I cannot give it back, this new heat, cannot unwind pleasure from the body, uncouple from this inside God, this demanding God, this internal projection, this absolute skin. Rice is grown for 1 to 2 years, followed by a fallow of 6 years or more. We do not fallow. I know there is no home in you. The Great Southern Rice Bowl was formed by a series of volcanic eruptions. I take my next lover in the shadow of an erupting volcano. We couple wearing gas masks, the world in monochrome. We are all facsimile in our desire, removed from time, reduced, pinpricked, inexact, curled, uncovered, the air slowly turning molten. Quote, hydrologists have mapped 162 small rivers and streams on Bali, about half of which dry up in the rainy season. His confusion as he looked at me across the table, the smell of elastic cheese, describing the woman who had called him to detail her shame. It is not my shame, she told him, it's yours. The palms split in the garden and the neat braided leaves give way, a new shoot, near replica. Adam is the skin of the earth, he unfolded from it. The Babylonian Marduk made a man from clay a joke, for which other gods mocked him. When you wake, you are the same as the day before, only for desire planted in the other. They unlock a stream, it feeds a seed already embedded, where? Maybe the lungs, maybe the heart, the pelvic bed, a garden. Desire knows us, holds us. I think about holding his face to volcano. Hot caldera, bed of magma, the pyroclastic flows, the cool slurries, slick in the rivers, killing the fish. Better that we cannot feel the shockwave when it hits us. I think about sucking his tongue out through his eye socket. Thank you.